Welcome to an introduction of knitting. Before you get started, there are a few tools that you will need to use. First of all are needles, and needles come in different sizes and shapes. One type is the straight needle. The one I have here are 14 inches, and they're extremely long. They're the Spanish style, and the reason they're so long is because you put one under your right armpit to facilitate knitting or to knit faster. However, there are also shorter straight needles that you can use. Another type of needle are circular needles. They have a connector that connects them. These are from Knit Picks. They're wooden, and these are bamboo circular needles. They're by Clover. Another type of circular needle is the metal type, which is Addi, that I have here. Now, it just depends on your personal preference what type of needle you would like to use. For a beginner, I would recommend US size 10, which are 6 millimeters thick. It's pretty easy to use to begin with. However, there are varying thicknesses. These needles obviously are not as thick as the others. Another type of needle are double-pointed needles. You can use double-pointed needles for hats and for socks and for pretty much any other project. They're great for I-cords. So in the end, you should probably have a set of double-pointed needles and circular needles. For beginners, I recommend short straight needles to hold in front or circular needles. I recommend circular needles if you are older because they're a little bit easier on your wrists. Another thing you need to take into account is yarn. There's many different types of yarn. The thicker the yarn, the thicker you'll want your needles to be. So, starting with the thickest that I have here, this is a chunky yarn or bulky. This is a worsted weight yarn. It's also a tweed. This is a DK weight. This is another DK weight yarn, and DK is basically thinner. It's a bit thicker than lace. It can be used for socks or hats or a baby hat. This is a project I'm currently working on, and it's a baby hat on double-pointed needles. And here's the lace weight yarn, which is the thinnest type. This is a slightly thicker lace yarn, but there are thinner ones as well. So when you're an early knitter, beginning knitter, I would recommend that you use worsted weight, which is a good amount of thickness, easier to maneuver, and it works great with US size 10 needles. Another tool that I would recommend are stitch markers. Again, they come in different sizes, but they can help you know what row you're on or if you need to remember a certain thing. As you can see on this project, I have a stitch marker to let me know because it's impossible to basically tell which row you're on if you don't have one on double-pointed needles. So to recap, short straight needles or circular needles, US size 10, and a worsted weight yarn will get you started. Some brands that I personally enjoy are Bare Knot, Caron, and that's about it. You can find them at Joann's or Michael's. Kiwi Knitting Company in Tucson, Arizona is another great place, as well as Pearls. Anyone who works there will be able to help you get started in finding some yarn. I recommend about 1 or 2 balls of yarn. Normally, yarn comes in balls like this, but sometimes they come in hanks, like this one. If your yarn comes in a hank, you should ask the knitting company to go ahead and make it into a ball for you. Otherwise, you'll be having one of your friends hold out their arms so you can do it yourself, which is a great workout for your wrists, but I think you'd prefer to spend your time knitting. So, once you have your tools, we can get started on the knit stitch.